To coordinate or not to coordinate? That is the question. With everything that goes into wedding planning, you need a little help. Of course, I'm here to help you with wedding photography and videography, but when you need someone to help coordinate and make it all come to fruition, I've got the person for you. No matter where you are, I will absolutely suggest getting a wedding coordinator. A wedding coordinator is the person who's going to take care of all of the little details on your big day, from figuring out where all the signs go, to making sure that all the flowers get put in the right place, making sure you get fed and you're drinking water, making sure that everything goes smoothly. I myself have had to step in as a wedding coordinator from time to time, and it's a big job. There is a lot involved, and when there's so much pressure put on your big day, it's a big role. So, here to talk with you about why you should have a wedding coordinator, I bring you Olivia from Dee and Liv. They are an adorable mother and daughter team that have been doing wedding planning for quite some time now. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself, some crazy stories that we both have encountered, to make sure that you are prepped and that you know what's involved and whether or not a wedding coordinator is for you. Make sure, if you haven't already, download below your free ultimate sign list. It's got everything that you need in one list to make sure that you have all of the signs ready to go for your big day. Especially if you're a DIY bride, this ultimate list will make sure that you're planning way in advance to have all of those signs made and ready to go before your big day comes along. The best part, Olivia already has that list and more to make sure that you don't have to worry about it. If you're a DIY bride or you want to make sure that someone is taking care of all of your precious signs that you've already spent so much time to make, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
My mom and I have a wedding planning company called Dee and Liv. It's Liv for Olivia and Lady because I've been calling my mom Lady for I don't know how long. So I kind of just stuck. And the way that we started was almost 7 years ago. My boyfriend and I decided to celebrate our birthdays together, and we did this huge like jungle themed birthday party in my parents' backyard. And at the end of it, I was like, wow, we had so much fun putting that together. And I just looked at my mom because my mom's been in the hospitality business for over 30 years. She worked at hotels, at restaurants. What I loved about putting our birthday party together was I loved dressing up and I loved decorating everything and just coming up with different ideas to make it really feel like the jungle that we wanted it to be. It just came to me, it was like Dee and Liv. Mom, we could do this as a business. And she's like, are you serious? So imagine a mom whose daughter wants to work with her. Like, I think that's like any mom's dream come true. So, and we work so well together. And that's basically how it started. And we've been doing it together for almost 7 years. And now I'm excited to say that I'll be planning my own wedding finally. So,
yay! While we say that, I'm going to add more questions. Planning your own wedding, because I'm talking about the same thing in some of my videos about me being my own DIY bride and it being really weird being on the other side. But that's one of the things I'm talking about too. So I want to also add that, or like during crunch time, during the middle of the wedding, what was going on, and it was the worst and you had to fix it.
We tell almost all our brides this story, and it was actually our very first wedding that we did together as Dee and Liv. It was at the Coconut Grove Women's Club, and the bride was having the ceremony outside and the reception inside in November. November is usually beautiful weather. However, this November, it did not stop raining. We were like, do not look over, like, just trust us. You have our support. We will make it work, whatever happens, because the forecast was showing that it was going to be raining. The florist tried putting up the arch 3 times. We can't wait for this rain to stop because it's not stopping. So all the tables inside were already set for the reception. So what we did was we moved the tables over just a little bit and created an aisle for her to have her ceremonies. All the candles that were lining the aisle outside were brought inside. We created a beautiful aisle for her, and she didn't know until she pulled up in the car. She walked in, she looked at us, and she was like, this is the wedding of my dreams, and I didn't even know it. And I was like, what? And so for that to be one of like my first weddings, I looked at my mom and like that just like sealed the deal. And we're like, if we can get through this, like we can rearrange a whole wedding. I think we got it under control. We did it all with a smile on our face. We just have to make it work. The rain's not stopping.
Amazing. Holy cow. Amazing. Mine are absolutely smaller, and there have been times when I end up becoming coordinator because they didn't think that it was going to be a big deal, that you didn't need a coordinator. And thank God that I had the wits about me to jump in and take control, because especially like I remember one situation. It was just one thing after the another. The flowers weren't there on time. The makeup artist was running late. It was just everything that could go wrong was going wrong. They didn't have, or they thought they were going to have, a vendor coordinator, someone at the venue who will take care of all of this, and they didn't. They didn't work on Saturdays. Something stupid. So I had to be the one to say, here's an extra printout of the timeline. I need you, Aunt Sue, to go take this and do that. I need you to go run over there. I still have to take photos of XYZ because I have a timeline I need to stick to. And it is there. This is why I will always, always, always recommend you need to have a coordinator. It sounds like something that may be frivolous, and you don't need to use that. You're tight, especially if you have a tight budget, to pay someone to take care of this for you. You've got mom or dad. No, mom and dad need to be spending time with you, enjoying the day, especially if maybe they're helping to pay for this. Don't put them to work. You need someone who you can trust, knows what they're doing, has it all taken care of, has dealt with the madness before, and can be there for your support.
So we're month of coordinators. We don't like saying that we're day of, because we won't show up that day. Like how can you expect somebody to just show up the day of and make your dream come true? And that's our whole thing. So we call it month of, which is when we'll meet a month before. We'll make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and just get and create a timeline that a lot of people don't know how to do, or that's even necessary. And the timeline for the photographer is different than the timeline for the event planner. That's different for the timeline for the DJ.
As a photographer, if I don't have a timeline, and if I don't have that already set up from the beginning, I feel like I dictate a lot of how the rest of the day is going to go. And as my timeline, it's probably for another video, but my timeline is so detailed that I have when setup needs to start, makeup, video, like there's like 16 columns going right now in this timeline, because you don't realize, unless you're a part of a wedding on a regular basis, how many moving pieces there are. And I dictate when the makeup artist needs to start, because I need you ready by a specific time. And so that means you need to make sure your makeup artist arrives by this time. I need to also take detail photos of all of your invitations and the flowers and your bouquet and the ring. I need the flowers ready by a specific time so that I can get those detail shots. And then the florist can go and take it to the appropriate location. So the timeline, people look at me like I'm crazy, but you need to be working backwards from exactly how you want the day to look. And when I get to finally just say here and send this off to the coordinator and let go, that's the best feeling. Yes. What's your favorite part of the wedding day?
Things may not be perfect, but it will be a perfect day. Things are bound to go wrong. Even in our most perfect weddings that have been flawless, the weather's been great, like things happen. So I think one of my favorite things is kind of putting out those fires. At the end of it, I think at the very end of the wedding, like just seeing the bride and groom Like once the music's off, lights are on, and they're just so happy. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Heck, I was gonna say, I mean, it's a similar situation, but part of my mandatory as a wedding photographer is I make sure that every bride and groom is secluded in a room for 10 or 15 minutes before the reception, and making sure that they have a glass of champagne and some hors d'oeuvres, and they can just sit, kick up their heels, and like relax for 10 minutes together. I do sneak a few photos really fast because they're, you know, just finally sitting down relaxing, but I leave them alone, and I want them to just, I'm going to disappear. We're locking the door so that no one can get in, and you two can just enjoy 10 minutes to enjoy what just happened. You just got married, and it's a big deal. Sit down and enjoy that. When I'm leaving the room and I like can look back and see them just like, oh, that was so good. Like that's my favorite, because it's now the pressure's off. You can go and have fun and just run around and enjoy the ridiculous madness that came before all of this planning that you've done to make this day amazing. Now you get to sit back and enjoy it. You don't have to stress anymore. What is part of the wedding you would say you would just cross off the list?
Depending on what your time frame is, like having people like stop and like everybody watch the cake cutting. Like I love the cake cutting itself, and I think that should be captured, but maybe not like stop the whole party to watch people cut the cake, because like a lot of people don't care, they just want to eat the cake.
One of my other videos I plan on working on is my own timeline. Like I told you, it's a little complicated because I'm in the industry, and I know that if you don't give someone a time and where you need to be at what time, things are going to be crazy. And I completely agree. I'm completely kicking out the table by table, step by step thing. Also because not everyone at the table may know each other or may be associated. You know, to me, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have my grandparents and my uncles at one table, but then some of my college friends and my work friends are going to be together at a table, and they don't know each other. They may like each other, you know, eventually. That's why you put them at a table together, because you hope they'll interact and mingle and be good as a group together, but they don't know each other. So now you're going to have a photo of a very mixed group of people. And if you didn't want that and you have to now break the table apart, it gets even more complicated and it takes forever. And yes, as a photographer, that is my least favorite part of the job.
I feel like one, it takes away time from the couple to sit and enjoy their meal together. And just like if like people can come to them at that time and then have photos taken like that, have photos taken throughout the wedding and like the reception, like the fun part. But I've seen it in the bride and groom, and they're just like, they're like exhausted.
I have 43 tables to stop at today. Yeah. There are people who still want it. I will not stop them. If that's what you want to do, I will make it happen. But even for my own wedding, I want to make sure that I still want to make sure I have photos with everyone, but most people don't do it anymore. That's kind of how you had a receiving line a long time ago. Everyone stood up, and between the ceremony to the reception, as they're walking from one place to the other, bride, groom, mother, father of both are standing with them, thanking everyone for coming, receiving whatever gifts they bring, and then they go into the reception, and that's the perfect time to get a photo with each group. You just have all of the aunts and uncles and maybe family member wait till the end of the line. After everyone's inside, we'll take the family photos really fast and then keep going.
I love that. That is, and it's a perfect segue also to get them from cocktail hour to reception. It's like, perfect, follow me.
And everyone's half eating too. Everyone's like, oh, we're taking the table photos. Okay, here's my half-eaten plate of food in all of the photos. Or like, hold on, let me finish chewing, and like, okay, let's go. Okay, so what, especially when you first started, or what was a completely unexpected part of the job? Something that, I mean, as a photographer, like I said, there are times when I have to be I was the chauffeur once. We had to figure out. Yeah, I mean, the wedding day was amazing, but nothing went as planned. There was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and we couldn't take the first look photos at the original location. So I had to figure out, instead of the bride and groom and all the bridal party getting in their limo and going to the ceremony as originally planned, I had to figure out, how do I get the groom to the ceremony location before the bride and the bridal party show up, because we still want to take the first look photos, but they can't be in the same spot. He wasn't able to go in the limo that he was originally intending to kind of party before the before the ceremony. So I said, look, I hop in my little Nissan Versa. it's not a fancy car, but we can do the first look at the ceremony location instead. So I was chauffeur. Let's go. I picked the groom up and we went to the place ahead of time, and we had to rearrange what we could. But yeah, there's job titles that I don't intend. My car was a mess. There was like, what am I gonna do? We had to figure out a plan B, and that was so I became chauffeur, like unexpected job title of chauffeur, along with photographer. But so what are some of the ones that maybe are your favorite, or something that you definitely didn't expect to have to do as a planner?
It was a backyard wedding, and the owner of the house was like, oh, can you walk around and pick up the dog poop, like just in case? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh,
so that's a first and a last. So now whenever we do backyard weddings, we advise the owners
we have to take the poop out. Yeah.
And actually, that same wedding, they had like the balloons, like the big, I think they're like 36, I don't know, those big balloons that say Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
One of the balloons flew away, so I had to go to Party City and get a new one and get the helium and come back and hope that it didn't pop in my car. The servers didn't bring serving utensils, so she had to run out, grab serving utensils, come back. Then at the end, for like the late night snack, it was like cafecito and tostadas.
Yeah.
And she didn't have anybody to make that.
Oh.
So my mom made tostadas and cafecito for 300 people.
So, okay, so that's chef, assistant, because yeah, assistant generally would be the one running around. Oh my gosh. Is there something you're dying to do, or like something you're dying to help plan and coordinate?
I mean, for her, I feel like she'd probably say to coordinate my wedding and my brother's wedding.
Oh.
So I actually got engaged 4 weeks. I guess it'd almost be a month. On the 22nd will be a month. And my brother got engaged the weekend after. I know. So we're just like wedding crazy over here. So for my mom, for sure, I think that's planning mine and my brother's weddings. The good thing about this quarantine is that we've had nothing else to do but reach out to vendors and plan.
Yeah. I'll use that as a segue. So I'll just jump over to the pandemic. As a bride and as a coordinator, the same as I've been talking about how it's been as a bride and a vendor, as a photographer, having a different perspective on everything, and different struggles than others may have. How has it been with planning, with helping others plan? Have you had any bumps in the road with planning because of COVID-19?
All of March, April, May, even we have a wedding in June that she's still unsure if she's going to be pushing it back or not. Thank God that none of them have canceled. They've all been just like postponing to next year. And also all the vendors have been so gracious, and like, I mean, what can you do, because it's nobody's fault. So what a lot of them have been doing is just putting everything like on pause. One of the beautiful things though is our April 4th wedding. It was gonna be in the Keys and it was gonna be outdoors, gorgeous. But what she did was, so she postponed it to next year. But she did have on April 4th like a small ceremony, like just both their parents and like a grandmother or something in the backyard. She got to wear her dress. Aww. So I think a lot of people have just been trying to find the light in all of this, and like you can't just stop. you know, and like I've been saying this whole time, I'm like, love isn't canceled. Like, yeah, a lot of other things are canceled, but love is not canceled. Everything's been on pause. However, as a bride, I'm like, okay, we kind of had to get things as soon as possible because we're looking for February of next year. And because of everything that's being postponed from now till then, a lot of things are booked. A lot of vendors are booked, a lot of venues, caterers, everything. So we kind of had to do that quick. What I'm struggling right now personally is my wedding dress, because it usually takes about 8 months by the time you get it. You choose your dress, it gets ordered, it comes in, you get it fitted, again and again and again. The whole process takes about 8 months, and I'm 10 months down the line.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I'll be able to go, if I'll be able to go and try on a dress.
I tell everyone, it doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or not, you need to make sure that you are booking at least your coordinator, your venue, and your photographer and videographer first, because those are the first things that will go. I'm scheduled now almost 2 years out, because everyone who is in 2020 is now also booking on top of 2021 brides. So we have double the number of weddings happening in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good that everything's going so far so good. And you're still in business. You're still running. You're still answering emails. You're still talking with.
Oh yeah, and like I think now more than ever, it's been easier for us personally to get back to our brides and our vendors. For some reason, some vendors have been hard to get a hold of, and I'm like, you can't be anywhere.
Right. Where are you right now? Like, you can't answer.
That was actually a really good time for people who are trying to plan. Like, now's the easiest time in the sense of contacting people.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. So it's the same question, just different ways. What do you always make sure that the bride and groom does on the day, and then make sure that they don't do? I mean, like I gave my example of making sure you sit down after the ceremony and have your alone time. I make sure that they're drinking water. You even said that, like force feeding them water if I have to. And don't, that one's a hard one, but heck, as for photography, it's not day of, but don't do anything you don't normally do the week before. So don't decide to get a tan if you don't normally get a tan. Don't decide to do a cool facial that you've never done before. Like don't do anything different on the week and the day of that you wouldn't normally do. It's going to screw with your skin, or it's going to screw with your stomach. Don't do it. Do whatever you would normally do. And don't get drunk. Oh, that's my don't. That's a good one. Because all the groomsmen always decide that, yay, you're getting married, take 17 shots before you walk down the aisle. And then when you can't actually walk down the aisle because you're stumbling, that's my don't, actually. That one is
I 100% agree on that. And one thing that like really gets me is the best man speech.
Oh my gosh.
That's always like, it kind of makes me cringe because I never know what's gonna come out of their mouth. And usually it's like the guys are like roasting them, which is fine. But like when they're just like too drunk, I'm like, come on, like just wait. Like after the speeches, like
go crazy.
But yeah, especially for the bride and groom, like if I just always want to make sure that like they remember their wedding, because I feel like it's sad to be like, I don't remember my wedding.
Yeah.
You know, and like, so I'm like, drink water, eat, like.
When it's such a stressful day, and it's everyone makes it out to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so stressful, but because of the social norms, they put a lot of pressure on that one day, when in reality, it's just the start of a very, very long chapter. So don't stress that. You're going into this with someone you love, and you're going to enjoy a marriage, and that should be the celebration of your marriage, not stress. Book a coordinator, even if you can't maybe afford someone from the very beginning. A month of is absolutely something that I'm going to stress more, because day of makes no sense. You're exactly as you said it, to have someone jump in on the day of and you expect a perfect day is kind of unreasonable.
The way that my mom and I work, we've broken it down to like 3 different packages, and it's full planning, fill in the blanks, and month of.
Okay.
So full planning is for the couple that they're like, look, I'm way too busy. Like, this is what we want. And for that, we just try to get as much information as we can in the beginning. And then basically just give like 2 options. Like, hey, we spoke to these people. This is their price and this is their price. Which one do you want? Great. Next. And they don't want to be stressing over trying to find a vendor, fill in the blanks, which is somebody that they've started to plan their wedding. They may have their venue, they may have their photographer and the who's marrying them, but they're still missing DJ, florist, like those in-betweens of fill in the blanks. When they hire us, it's typically like 6 months before the wedding. Again, it just depends on where they're at. Then the month of, which we call it month of, we don't call it day of, which is like the typical name for a day of coordinator. Because we do feel like you're not gonna, how do you expect to know what somebody's dream is in 24 hours? Like, you can't. But we'll call all the vendors to confirm the date, the time that they're getting there, and like you said earlier, the timeline. You can't have the florist there before the rentals, because where are they going to put the flowers if the tables aren't there, and things like that. And just really just make sure that everything is running on schedule. Make sure that they have their hanger to hang their dress on, so the photographer can take a pretty picture and it's not like on a plastic like dry cleaning hanger. And then it's something so silly, but I mean, as a photographer, you want to make sure.
I have an extra wood hanger that I leave in my car because I refuse to take the plastic hanger photo. Like, then I have to just truck down to my car and get a wooden hanger. I tried like to convince someone ahead of time to make sure that's done. But if someone would remember for me, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's funny because like that's one like the first things that my mom will tell Brad. She's like, "So do you have your hanger?" Because she's like so like into this like. She's like, "Oh, Etsy has them for $25."
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I'm like, "Mom, you're so funny." We will go to walkthroughs with them. So that's kind of the difference also. If you do fill in the blanks, and we can help call some of the vendors. When you do month of, like, we'll give you the referrals and then you'll call the vendors. The bride will call the vendor. So it kind of just depends on the amount of legwork that you want us to do versus you'll do on your own.
Right. Yes.
So we'll either meet in person or now we'll do a FaceTime. And really just get to know them, because if the chemistry is not there, regardless of how perfect we make your wedding, like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So chemistry to us, and I'm sure with photographers too, like you meet with the bride and groom and like you're taking intimate photos of them. Like, they have to feel comfortable that you're in their face while they're kissing. Like,
right. It's absolutely true, especially photography. If we don't have a connection or we don't click, I take no offense. It's just a matter of I'm not your photographer, right. Because I want to be the person who makes you giggle, makes you feel like you can be a fool, and it doesn't that I'm not there, or you feel comfortable enough that that it's okay that I'm there.
Yeah.
I want to be both hidden and invisible and like your best friend at the same time. It's a weird combination, but yeah, you have. If you don't like me, it's gonna come off in all of the photos. Yeah. You're just gonna look uncomfortable and stiff, or you won't have genuine photos. That absolutely, and heck, with coordinator too, you may not feel comfortable. What I would think is not feel comfortable telling them how you really feel. And if someone says, "Oh, but this is gonna look beautiful if you do it this way," and you're not comfortable with them, yeah, you may not like your wedding because you say, actually, I have a hatred towards the color yellow, and now you have sunflowers. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you have to feel good about who you're with, because it's not. I'm not doing this to have a job. I'm doing it because I do what I love, and I want to see the smiles and the love and the laughter and the kisses because that's what makes me happy. So I'm doing this to get the happiness too.
Yeah. And it shows, and people have come up to us like wow, you guys are like we'll enjoy the wedding too, like once everything's like chill, like I'll be like by the DJ, like making sure that things are okay, and I'm like jamming and like singing along with them, and then there's more to that, like there's more than just a dollar sign.
Thank you so very much for meeting with me. I'm excited to work on future projects, to get rolling and back into a sense of normalcy. Yeah, I say it, it's true, because I know as soon as things get rolling again, I mean, as a photographer, it's easy. I have a 6-foot distance between me and the subjects all the time, so it's okay. I'm forever social distancing, so that's fine. But we have to get used to a new norm, and it'll be nice to get slowly back into it and figure out where everything goes. But once it is back to normal, I look forward to doing this again in person. And we'll come up with something cool next time. But I appreciate it. I love you. Tell your mom that I say hi and thank you, and to look out for some more stuff. You make sure to follow. I don't know which camera I'm looking at. Make sure to follow.
So our Instagram is Lady and Liv, and our website is ladyandliv.com. Thank you so much for having me, Dee. This was amazing. Like, I feel like we both learned so much.